Are you a film buff? Are you a fan of everything Japanese? If you answered yes to both questions, then I have two words for you. Eiga-Sai! We would also like to hear from you, so please send us your comments, suggestions, and feedbacks at tribe@net-25.com. That's tribe@net-25.com.
All in all, something new.
It was interesting. It was very interesting. Yung history of Korea and Japanese. Kind of interesting for the Japanese to show that kind of film. Kind of interesting. Very nice.
Very interesting.
Very exciting.
I thought it was great.
Touching, very touching.
We enjoyed.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Actually, my wife is Chinese, I'm Korean. So this is a story with North Korean. More than not our Korean, North Koreans in Japan. Yeah, so I learned about it. Of course, I cried.
Oh, very nice. It's interesting, and I hope there will be more movies like this.
Judging from the crowd's reaction, the movie that they've just seen is a blockbuster hit. I wonder what movie is it? Is it the latest Hollywood film? Let's find out. What the crowd is raving about is not a Hollywood film at all, but the opening movie of Eiga-Sai 2008. If you're a film buff and you love anything and everything Japanese, then Eiga-Sai is definitely for you. So what does Eiga-Sai mean?
Eiga-Sai, Eiga means film and Sai means festival, so just film festival.
Eiga-Sai has been here for a long time, more than 10 years in fact.
Actually, we have Japan Foundation had a history of 11 years, but before we established the office, we have been organized a film festival. So I cannot count, maybe more than 20 times.
Showcased in this year's Eiga-Sai are Japanese contemporary films: Chibi Maruko-chan, Juvenile Jungle, A Stranger of Mine, Hanging Garden, Canary, Linda, 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 and the opening film of the festival, We Shall Overcome Someday, whose Japanese title is Pachigi.
I always choose the films for Japanese Film Festival, most contemporary films of Japan. This time also, out of 9, we brought the very new films, which was produced in 2004 and 2005.
Many attended the opening of the film festival. Their anticipation for the upcoming film showing is very palpable. And at last, everyone is invited to enter the cinema. After the playing of the Philippine and Japanese national anthems, there were opening and welcoming speeches from Ms. Danila Fojas of Shangri-La Plaza, Minister Hidenobu Sobashima, the Consul General of the Embassy of Japan, and Director Ben Suzuki of the Japan Foundation Manila. Finally, the film screening began. I already heard a lot about this movie from Mr. Ben Suzuki.
This is about actually conflict and friendship between the Japanese and Koreans. The Korean popular culture is now very popular also in the Philippines, but before, we Japanese had a psychological barrier towards Koreans. The Koreans also had a resentment for Japanese. So there was a conflict and misunderstanding, but to overcome this kind of sad history, there will be the love affairs to overcome.
We Shall Overcome Someday is set in Kyoto during the late 1960s. Chiyoya Shun played Matsuyama Kosuke, a Japanese high school student who fell in love with a Korean girl and the son of the Korean folk song Imjing River. Takaoka Susuke played Lee Ang-sun, a Korean gang leader, while playing as his little sister Lee Kyung-ja is Sawajiri Erika, to whom Matsuyama Kosuke fell in love with. The film was ranked as the best Japanese film of 2005 by the venerable Kinema Junpo. The film is based on the story Boy M's Imjing River, or Shonen M no Imojin Gawa, which was written by Matsuyama Takeshi. I really liked the film, and as you've already heard, I'm not the only one that loved it, but the crowd as well. The portrayal of the rough and tough world of a people is very realistic. You cannot help but care for the very human and very lovable characters.
Actually, Japanese Film Festival is already a very popular event for Philippines. the film is very easy to convey the message, to show the same kind of feeling of our contemporary society. So yeah, film is very clear.
That's just the opening, and it is already a certified success. I think that this bodes well for the rest of Eiga-Sai 2008.